Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Nice to be with you. I hope my connection will work. I'm on my first business to see partners today. Look, so it really started with our company vision and to make sustainable living place. It's embedded in our strategy that we call our Unilever Compass, which set out a number of ambitious goals on climate, nature, and social. So under our social pillar last year, and the pillar is about contributing to a fairer and more socially inclusive world, we have committed to spend 2 billion yearly with diverse businesses by 2025. And to do that, we have defined three big pillars. So we clearly have set up ambitious yearly goals to drive more spend to diverse businesses, including, of course, women-owned businesses. But we also have launched a supplier development program, really helping to build capability and also us and support company to access to finance and other resource. We are also, last but not least, bringing all our core big partners along with us to the journey to really, benefit from our scale and benefit from our relationship with our historical partners. So we created clearly a clear business case to the business in order to do that and get really from our CEO a mandate to drive that.
That is super impressive, Alex. Thank you for sharing that. Nino, with The Shop, Adara's group's in-house concept store showcasing handpicked items from local independent artists and entrepreneurs. Can you tell us about how the shop sources from local women and any other ways the company is supporting female entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you very much. First, I want to give you guys a little brief about Agile Group. Agile Group is a leading Georgian company which has been establishing and managing hotels, restaurants, bars around the country since 2010. We recently added a new business direction, developing various co-working and other festival expo spaces within Georgia. We have the company operates 6 different hotels in various regions, and we're working on 3 additional hotels currently, which we're developing in the regions. Along with hospitality and food and beverage, the holding group operates an agricultural company, Udabna, which manages a very large plot of land, over 15,000 hectares of land in the eastern region of Georgia. And Udabno has one of the largest almond orchards in the region. Agile Group's priority and mission has always been to help further develop our country and our community by putting Georgia on the map, which I think we've been really, really doing since day one. This is achieved through sustainable business practices and a focus on social responsibility, which has always been in our DNA. As a competitive and equal opportunity employer, we predominantly are led by women. Our board consists of 67% consists of women. Our management is 50% women, and from 1,500 employees, up to 40% are women. We have no pay gaps between genders and can proudly say that we have absolutely no glass ceilings. We encourage and give equal opportunity to all of our employees, regardless of gender, nationality, race, or sexual orientation. As for the question, our hotel concept store, which is called The Shop, are stocked with everything that inspires us for travelers and locals alike. The Shop proudly supports local designers and artists by providing a platform for their work to be recognized and, of course, purchased. A majority of the items sold in our shop is either by a local female artist or designer or created in-house by our hotel atelier. The uniqueness of the shop, as I mentioned, is that the big part of the items sold is created by our in-house atelier, who herself was an employee with an idea having an in-house atelier. So if you've ever traveled to Georgia, and I strongly encourage all of you to travel to Georgia and stay at one of our hotels, you'll see that we're part of a design hotel group, meaning honestly, everything that we have in the hotel is very detailed and designed specifically for our hotel, starting from what our employees, like the uniforms that our employees have, or curtains or whatnot. And back then we used to outsource and have it made. But one of our employees had an idea of, why don't we create our own atelier, since we pay so much attention to it. And that was an idea that we transformed and made it and took their entrepreneurial idea and transformed it into a business. And on top of that, how the shop started was also a female employee that had an idea. After we started our atelier, we realized that we had a lot of excess cloth, which we didn't want to throw out, obviously. So we decided to recycle and repurpose it and try to create new souvenirs or items that we could sell in the shop. So basically everything sold in the shop is either from local female artists or designers, or made by recycled or repurposed cloths that we've used from our atelier. So
wow, Nino.
provides different employees, in this case 2 employees, tools needed to transform their idea into a successful, sustainable part of our business.
That is fantastic. Congratulations, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
the real impact you're having. Ben, Accenture has been a leader in inclusive sourcing globally for many, many years. You in particular, but also your colleagues. Why does Accenture care about having inclusive sourcing practices, and why does it matter to you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me into this panel, and I hope you can hear me very well. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, we have been on this journey for a long while now, but Accenture has a long-standing commitment to make sure we advance the 10 principles of the UNGC, and we want to make sure that this commitment continues on the efforts to advance sustainability, equality, human rights, and so on. From a supplier sustainability perspective, this desire to be responsible really does come from top down. It is part of our priorities to use our purchasing power, to leverage the purchasing power to do good wherever we do business around the world. So you can imagine we are spending billions of dollars buying goods and services globally. Somehow we can use our procurement processes and interventions to drive the change across the ESG areas. And those ESG areas, similar to what the team here is saying, it's going to be around environment, it's going to be around human rights, supply inclusion, diversity, and the future of work. And within the supply inclusion, diversity in particular, that's where we have an established program. It's in about 21 countries. We're trying to impact different diverse groups. Of course, We Connect being one of our key strategic partners to advance this agenda for women-owned businesses. We want to continue making sure that we do our level best to influence those dollars of spend that we have, to make sure that we're driving impact wherever we can. If you take some of our reporting, which is out there externally, we are spending some $1.03 in the US, for example, with diverse businesses. So this commitment is not just because of our priorities in what we are signatory to, but it's also the leadership and also the processes and also our desire, the responsibility invested in myself to make sure we are driving that change, which is beneficial for us, clients, partners on this call, and suppliers. And just very lastly, but not least, we do have a target to make sure that we achieve gender equality in the business. So 50% women, 50% men employed by 2025. That, in my view, is going to change a lot of dynamics for the greater good. And right now, the metrics are looking very positive at 46% of the workforce are women and continuing to advance. So I think the future is going to be very inclusive. We're going to try and be sure to try and drive that kind of responsible agenda through the business and externally, as I've just described. Thank you.
Ben, I love how you and Alex and Nino all share examples of how inclusion is part of your DNA, right? Not just your HR practices, although that's certainly part of it, but also your purchasing power. How you spend your money actually matters, and it doesn't stop at a national border. It's wherever you source products and services. So, Alex, what mechanisms does Unilever use to support women-owned businesses in its supply chain? And who may struggle to access these resources? And how do you reach out to potential suppliers that don't normally knock on your door?
Yeah, no, it's a great one. And look, I talk about the 2 billion. I have to start telling you, we just released our annual report of 21, and we have achieved in the first year of the commitment 445 million spent with diverse business. And for today's discussion, what is interesting as well is that more than 60% of that spend is with women-owned businesses. So yes, we are very proud, and we made a move, but we know that the journey is just beginning, and the gender gap, in our supply chain, it's still there, and it's across all our category, our portfolio, and country, because we're operating globally. So to your point, we know that women entrepreneurs, like any underrepresented group, face a wide range of challenge. Yeah, financially and non-financially, they have a lot of barriers that will prevent them to entering or participating into the economy, but also entering and working with big corporates that we are. So really, to our commitment to help them, we did a couple of things, and I'm going to give you just a couple of examples. So first, and to your point, and Elizabeth knows that very well, it's about expanding our business relationships. So getting to know them, connect with them, invite them to our process of tendering, and hopefully get them on board because they have a good value proposition, not because they are women owned. So we did a couple of networking sessions, meet the buyer in support, of course, with the support of WeConnect in countries, and we go country by country because you have to do that. We also really trying to support this gender inclusive credit and financing, working with some of our bank partner, but also some institution, because we know that's key to the game. You need money, you need cash to contribute to the development of your business. And not last but not least, we're also doing more and more on mentoring, coaching, providing learning and networking opportunities, again leveraging our great partner ecosystem, but also our relationship, like with big NGO we are working with as a Unilever company. So yeah, these are the couple of examples about how we support women entrepreneurs. So very happy of the first step. Still a lot to be done.
But I love the concrete progress you've made in such a short period of time. It's really impressive. And I think you have a new report out that it outlines, the progress that's been made that I think everyone should be following your lead on. Nino, I'm curious. There's this perception that really only big organizations can afford to be inclusive in their sourcing practices, but clearly you're doing it. So what advice do you have for SMEs that want to reform their procurement policies and practices to be more inclusive?
Absolutely. During procurement, as well as ongoing, all sorts of partnerships, it has always been important for us to not solely focus on best price, but on providers as a whole and take them as our partner. And we'd encourage SMEs to get to know suppliers and align with ones who share their values. So one of the partnerships that we're really proud of is with the Georgian Farmers Association. A few years ago, we decided to say no to imported goods and buy local products where possible, even if it came with additional challenges and costs. Obviously, there are products that we can't grow locally, and we can't grow everything locally in Georgia, like avocados or bananas or a handful of other products. But we still try our best to buy meat, dairy products, and fresh produce from local farmers. And the Georgia Farmers Association, who we partnered with, helped create a platform and distribution channel which helps connect businesses such as ours to local farmers. And now we buy products from around 100 different farmers, from which 25% are women. And we've always helped encourage more women. And the Georgia Farmers Association also always helped encourage women to join the program. And we constantly provide feedback on how to improve on quality. And we are actively communicating what products we're interested in. And we find it very important to ensure that we provide as much communication as possible for them to be successful, as we view ourselves as partners. And again, going back to what I originally said, it's important to view all these as partners and not just simply supplier and purchaser.
It's very inspiring to know that we all have purchasing power as individuals, as small businesses, as large organizations, corporations, governments, multilaterals, the UN itself. We're working with the UN on its inclusive procurement practices and policies. And so I love the concrete examples everyone's giving, but we all know that this isn't easy, right? There's a reason why we're still at 1% and women are still invisible in global value chains. So I just want, Ben, help me make this a little bit real. Like, why is this so hard? What are the major challenges with being more inclusive in sourcing practices?
Generally speaking, I think different companies are still at different levels of maturity in terms of understanding how you identify the diversity categories that you need to focus on, having the right targets, I would say, to focus on those areas where you need to improve, having the right processes internally to say, this is how you identify the diverse supplier, this is how you classify them, these are the different partners you need to work with, right? So, and that problem, the difficulty in that problem will vary depending on the market you're in. In the US, it's probably a lot easier to go through the process people kind of technology to identify and address these issues. But the lower down you go, different countries that are kind of coming on board, I think it becomes difficult. So I think from that perspective, that creates a problem around data, uniformity, access to the diverse groups that you need, and then reporting on it. And actually, we recognize that, and we're currently invested in a new platform, for example, to help us onboard and qualify all our suppliers, and not just for around supplier diversity, but also around ESG. And the whole idea is we can start identifying which suppliers at different levels of maturity, which of the large corporates have supplier diversity programs, but maybe they're not moving forwards as fast as they could. So we want to create a kind of a many-to-many because we recognize that this is a challenge. So how can we, across our ecosystem, within the Accenture ecosystem, as it were, help share and best practices, and then connect our suppliers to the likes of WeConnect and MSCC, WeBank, and all the great organizations that drive this agenda. So in summary, I think we are at different levels of maturity, different processes, difficulty in identifying the groups that we need to target, and in some cases, having the right targets in place.
Ben, I love your ecosystem approach, and I love how you're using all the different levers at your disposal to influence and to win hearts and minds and really help all of us be better in how we spend our money and how inclusive we are. I want to invite anyone who's participating today to please post questions in the chat section. We would love to hear your questions and make sure that they are answered by these true global experts. I think we're very fortunate to have all of these folks together as a resource. And while we wait for any questions, I wanted to circle back to you, Alex, and find out. I mean, we talked about direct spend with our prime suppliers, but how does Unilever scale its success with its tier one suppliers? Your Unilever supplier equity, diversity, and inclusion promise, for example.
Yeah, and thanks that. And I could not agree more than what Ben said, and the same concept of the ecosystem. So indeed, we really want our big supplier, our historical supplier, which are not diverse because we will never be by structure, to join us and really to help us to get this positive impact. So what we did is that we launched our program called Unilever Partner with Purpose 2 years ago. And last year, as we were engaging with this group of partners, which are our top 500 key core partners, we launched the Unilever Supplier Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Promise, really asking all of them to sign up to join us in driving, in addressing social equality and driving supplier diversity. So the promise is basically encouraging our partner to join us, of course, starting with their workforce diversity, because we also have a lot of service providers, so it's important to have proper representation from media agency, marketing agency, professional services agency. But then we also ask them to develop their own supplier diversity strategy, policy, and program. So far, we had more than 50 suppliers that have signed up for it. And it's important for us because we will, of course, leverage our total spend, but also, to be very humble, we are late to the party, and there is a lot we can learn from some supplier. I mean, the best example here is Accenture. So we also want to learn from our supplier and build that together. And we really believe that without that, we will not be able to go beyond the 2 billion. So it's fundamental for the continuity of the program.
I love it. I love how not only do you have your own influence with your top suppliers, but you're having conversations with your suppliers about their purchasing power, and in giving them tools and resources so they don't have to start from scratch. No one has to start from scratch. And I think, you probably have some really good examples about just sort of first steps. Like, what recommendations would you give for a person listening to this who wants to be more inclusive in their sourcing practices? Do you have some tips and tricks for what can be done? Because you've done so much in this space already.
Absolutely. I'll reiterate that again, partnerships are very important to, I think, all the businesses, and approaching it one by one and making sure that your values align, I think, is something that we really value, to make sure that all of our partners have the same vision and the mission. Along with that, it doesn't have to be. You can always find a partner within your company. So examples that I had with entrepreneurs. There's another example that we have, which I think that I would mention as well, is our in-house vertical farm, where we grow greens, microgreens, and edible flowers right in the center of one of our hotels in the capital, Tbilisi. It's Damba Hotel. The project was also proposed by a young woman who now operates the vertical farm and is a part of our group. So basically, it's like a mini version of a farm to table concept within the city in one of our hotels. Obviously, we can't harvest everything, and whatever we can't, we work with local farmers, as I mentioned previously. But not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. But for those who wish to be entrepreneurial in their role, we help as a company. We help them achieve their goals by providing support, education, and additional resources in order to advance in their career within their role, or a new business stream. In this case, there's been new business streams, just like vertical farm or the atelier or the shop. There's various ways that you can partner up, either externally with an association or a different company or an SME, big business, whatever it is, or within your company, and see like what opportunities you can create or what opportunities you can enhance on and develop within the group as well.
Those are super practical, real world examples that you shared with us. So thank you for breaking it down. Ben, given the lack of predictability, the chaos between COVID and now what's, been happening in places between what had been happening in Afghanistan and now what's happening in Eastern Europe. There's so much uncertainty, and yet it's an opportunity to rethink how we do business and how we can be more inclusive going forward. So I'd love to understand, how do you plan on driving the impact of inclusive procurement going forward into the future, knowing that there is so much that is uncertain and so much that is broken in our value chains, but we still need to make sure everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute and to benefit from opportunities. So would just love your perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. For sure, there's a lot of uncertainty, but I think we have to keep moving forward. And so the whole, the North Star of being responsible, building responsible business models has to continue. And from our perspective, definitely sustainability is a new digital. And the business, investing in this ecosystem that we're building at the moment, I think will help us to bring our suppliers together on this journey to share information real time. It's the same location where the suppliers will be onboarded generally. So we want to be able to build that future of connected supply chain within our ecosystem. And the whole idea is, if suppliers are identified to be maybe not progressing in certain areas, we can then maybe invite them to join our DSDP program. So that's our Diverse Supplier Development Program, which we set up and is established and quite well recognized in the space of developing small medium enterprises. So evolution is using technology information to understand where you need to focus your area of effort to advance the sustainability agenda. And I think using technology at scale is going to be the way forward.
I love it, Ben. Thank you. And we have 2 minutes. Everything flew by so fast. Lena asked, there's a question about what has been the most challenging part of reforming your sourcing practices to be more inclusive, either within the company or in the marketplace. And Pia asked, how can we make sure that consumers and businesses have easy access to women-owned businesses? So in 30 seconds each with your closing remarks, what do you want to share? Maybe we start with you, Alex.
If I can unmute. Look, I think it's never been a better time, and it will never be a better time. I mean, it's now. We need to act. And being a brand company, this is time that we talk to our brand, to consumer. The big challenge remains to find this company, connect them internally, and be also ready. We ask them to be corporate ready. We need to be smaller women-owned company ready. So yeah.
I love it. Nino?
I could only echo what Alex said. Again, I think we need to open up opportunities for more people and women. And I think communication and always like giving them more help and helping them develop in their business is key. And putting more effort into helping women in just like in a workspace along with different partnerships is very important, and creating small platforms, even if it's small, it still makes a difference. So it doesn't have to be some grand gesture. I think even small steps will make a difference, and I think that is what encourages companies to take that step. And then once you see that you're making a difference, then I feel like you want more and more, and I feel like you invest even more afterwards.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nino. Ben?
I think I'll just say in one word, transparency. We are all on this great journey. I think in due course, we need to be a lot more transparent in how we are reporting our progress.
Ben, Nino, Alex, thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very
Very
much.
inspiring.
Thanks. Thank
Thank
you.
you.